Hey, legal drama enthusiasts, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into Suits, LA Season 1, Episode 4, Old Wounds. If you've been following our recaps, you know we're now fully immersed in Ted Black's complicated world of Los Angeles entertainment law, and things are only getting more intense. For those just joining us, Suits, LA is the spin-off from the popular legal drama Suits that ran for 9 seasons. This new series follows Ted Black, played by Stephen Amell, a former New York federal prosecutor who's reinvented himself as an entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles. The first 3 episodes established Ted's complicated past, his fractured partnership with Stuart Lane, and the murder case that's pulling him back into criminal defense, a world he thought he'd left behind. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, a quick reminder: this video will contain major spoilers for Episode 4. I'm going to break down everything, all the twists, turns, and jaw-dropping moments. So if you haven't watched it yet, now's your chance to pause this video and come back after you've experienced it for yourself. Still with me? Great. Episode 4, Old Wounds, digs deeper into Ted's past while advancing the Lester Thompson murder case. We also see the continuing fallout from Ted and Stuart's professional split, and get more insight into the firm's dynamic as loyalties continue to be tested. For this hour-long breakdown, I'll cover everything: plot details, character development, Easter eggs, and even some theories about where this season might be headed. So grab your coffee, settle in, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss our in-depth episode analyses. Now let's dive into Episode 4 and see what new challenges and revelations await Ted Black and Company. Episode 4 opens with Ted in his temporary office space, the new headquarters for his fledgling firm after the split with Stuart. The contrast with the luxurious Black Lane offices from previous episodes is stark, emphasizing Ted's current predicament. However, Ted seems energized rather than defeated, working late into the night on Lester Thompson's murder case. Kevin, Ted's former colleague from New York, whom he recruited at the end of Episode 1, is now firmly established as part of Ted's team. Their dynamic is tense but productive. They clearly have history, and this episode begins to peel back those layers. We learn that Kevin was also involved in the Roberto Giustini case that haunts Ted, though his role was secondary to Ted's. Meanwhile, the Lester Thompson murder case develops as Ted and Kevin discover inconsistencies in the prosecution's timeline. A potential alibi witness emerges, someone who claims to have seen Lester at a charity event during the estimated time of the murder. However, this witness has credibility issues that could make their testimony problematic. At Stuart's firm, we see him meeting with clients who previously worked with Ted, suggesting he's actively poaching Ted's client base. Erica, who chose to stay with Stuart rather than follow Ted, is visibly uncomfortable with this tactic but goes along with it. Stuart justifies his actions by claiming that Ted's obsession with the Thompson case is making him unreliable for entertainment clients. Rick, who surprised everyone by joining Ted's new firm, is struggling with the more modest surroundings and increased workload. A scene between Rick and Ted shows Ted mentoring him more directly than before, perhaps seeing something of himself in the younger lawyer. This mentor relationship seems to be a positive development for both characters. The episode also delves deeper into Ted's past through flashbacks to his New York days. We see more of his relationship with his brother Eddie, including a touching scene where Ted brings Eddie to his office and proudly introduces him to colleagues. These flashbacks provide context for Ted's current motivations and his almost obsessive need to seek justice. In a surprising development, Ted's ex, Talia, approaches him with a legal problem involving one of her clients. Despite their personal history and professional rivalry, she trusts Ted's expertise in this specific area. This subplot shows Ted balancing his commitment to the Thompson case with the need to maintain other professional relationships. The episode's climax comes when Ted and Kevin confront a key witness in the Thompson case, challenging their statement. The witness becomes hostile, suggesting they might be hiding something significant. Just as Ted seems to be making progress, he receives a call informing him that crucial evidence in the case may have been mishandled, potentially compromising their defense strategy. The episode ends with Ted alone in his office, looking at a photo of himself and Eddie. The ghost of Eddie appears, and they have a conversation about Ted's current path. Eddie reminds Ted that justice was always more important to him than success, validating Ted's decision to take on Thompson's case despite the professional costs. 4 episodes in, Suits LA has established a complex web of characters with distinct motivations and conflicts. Let's examine how episode 4 develops these characters further. Stephen Amell continues to impress as Ted Black, showing both vulnerability and determination. This episode reveals more layers to Ted through the flashbacks to his relationship with Eddie. We see that Ted's protective instinct toward his brother has translated into a broader desire to protect the vulnerable, perhaps explaining his initial career as a prosecutor and now his defense of Lester Thompson. The scenes with Eddie's ghost remain some of the most emotionally resonant in the series, allowing us to see Ted's internal struggle externalized. Kevin, played with nuance, emerges as more than just Ted's former colleague. This episode hints at shared trauma from their prosecutor days, particularly surrounding the Gustini case. Kevin seems to be both drawn to and repelled by Ted's intensity, respecting his legal mind while questioning his methods. Their dynamic adds a fascinating dimension to the show, almost like a more grounded version of Harvey and Mike's relationship from the original Suits. Josh McDermott's Stuart Lane continues to develop as Ted's antagonist, though the show wisely avoids making him a one-dimensional villain. His poaching of Ted's clients is underhanded but understandable from a business perspective. A brief scene where Stuart looks at an old photo of himself, and Ted suggests he's not entirely comfortable with their current adversarial relationship, adding complexity to his character. Erica's decision to stay with Stuart is explored more thoroughly in this episode. We see her conflicted loyalty, believing in Stuart's vision for the firm while questioning some of his tactics. A scene where she defends Ted's character to Stuart, despite choosing not to join his new firm, shows her moral complexity and independence. Rick, now working with Ted, provides both comic relief and emotional grounding. His fish out of water situation in Ted's scrappy new firm creates humorous moments, but we also see genuine growth as he rises to new challenges. His relationship with Ted is evolving from purely competitive to something more mentoring, showing both characters in a new light. The episode also develops Talia's character beyond being merely Ted's ex. Her approach to Ted for legal help shows her pragmatism and professional respect for him, despite their personal history. Their scenes together have a charged quality. Clearly, there are unresolved feelings on both sides, complicating their professional interactions. Lester Thompson remains an enigmatic figure. While we see Ted and Kevin working diligently on his case, Lester himself appears in only 2 scenes. This limited screen time maintains the mystery around his guilt or innocence, keeping viewers guessing about whether Ted's faith in him is justified. Eddie's ghost continues to serve as Ted's conscience and emotional anchor. Their scenes together reveal Ted's internal thought process and provide emotional context for his decisions. The supernatural element remains handled with surprising restraint, focusing on the emotional truth of their relationship rather than ghost story tropes. Episode 4 contains several pivotal scenes that advance both the plot and character development significantly. Let's analyze these key moments. The cold open immediately establishes Ted's new reality, working late in modest offices, surrounded by case files rather than the trappings of success. This visual contrast with previous episodes effectively communicates Ted's new underdog status. When Kevin arrives with coffee and quips, "Burning the midnight oil won't bring back your corner office," Ted's response, "No, but it might keep an innocent man out of prison," perfectly encapsulates his character's priorities. The first flashback scene shows Ted bringing Eddie to his prosecutor's office in New York. Young associates seem uncomfortable with Eddie's presence, but Ted proudly introduces his brother, challenging anyone to treat him differently. This scene provides crucial context for Ted's character, his protective instinct toward Eddie, and his willingness to challenge social norms and expectations. A particularly tense scene occurs when Stuart meets with one of Ted's former clients, a film director Ted has represented for years. Stewart's pitch emphasizes stability and certainty, subtle digs at Ted's current situation. The client's hesitation and questions about Ted reveal the personal nature of these professional relationships, raising the emotional stakes of Stewart's actions. The scene between Erica and Stewart after this meeting is equally important. When Erica questions the ethics of actively poaching Ted's clients, Stewart defends himself by saying, Ted made his choice when he took on Thompson's case. Our clients deserve stability. Erica's response, Ted would never abandon a client who needed him. Isn't that the kind of lawyer you'd want representing you? Highlights the moral complexity of their situation. Rick's adjustment to Ted's new firm provides both humor and character growth. When a printer breaks down before a crucial filing deadline, Rick improvises a solution using his connections from his previous work experience. Ted's surprised but appreciative reaction shows a new respect developing between them. This scene demonstrates Rick's value beyond just legal knowledge, a theme that will likely continue throughout the season. The midpoint of the episode features a critical development in the Thompson case. Ted and Kevin interview a potential alibi witness who claims to have seen Lester at a charity event during the estimated time of the murder. However, their credibility issues become apparent during questioning. Ted's frustration is palpable, but Kevin's more measured approach helps salvage useful information. This scene effectively showcases their different but complementary approaches to legal work. Talia's appearance at Ted's office creates immediate tension. Their history is evident in every glance and carefully chosen word. When she admits she needs his help with a specific legal issue involving intellectual property rights for one of her clients, Ted initially hesitates, suspecting ulterior motives. Her simple admission, "You're the best at this, Ted." Personal history aside, "I need the best," acknowledges their complicated relationship while establishing professional respect. The most emotionally resonant scene comes when Ted, exhausted and doubting himself, looks at an old photo of himself and Eddie. Eddie's ghost appears, and they have a conversation that cuts to the heart of Ted's character. When Ted admits fear that he's sacrificed his career for a case he might not be able to win, Eddie reminds him, "You became a lawyer to fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves. That was never going to be the easy path." This scene powerfully connects Ted's past motivations with his present actions. The episode's climactic confrontation comes when Ted and Kevin interview a key witness whose testimony supports the prosecution's case against Lester. Ted's aggressive questioning technique contrasts with Kevin's more methodical approach. The witness's increasingly defensive behavior suggests they're hiding something, though exactly what remains unclear. This scene sets up significant developments for future episodes while showcasing Ted's instincts and Kevin's strategic mind. The final blow comes when Ted receives a call informing him that evidence in the Thompson case may have been mishandled. His visible devastation as he processes this setback, potentially undermining their entire defense strategy, provides a powerful cliffhanger ending. Ted's determination in the face of this obstacle, symbolized by him straightening his tie and returning to work despite the late hour, demonstrates his resilience and commitment. 4 episodes in, Suits LA is finding its rhythm and establishing itself as more than just a spin-off, riding on its predecessor's reputation. Episode 4, Old Wounds, represents a significant step forward in developing the show's unique identity. The most successful aspect of this episode is how it balances Ted's past and present. The flashbacks to his relationship with Eddie provide emotional context for his current actions without feeling forced or overly sentimental. Stephen Amell continues to impress with his portrayal of Ted, bringing nuance to a character who could have easily become a one-note crusader. The supernatural element with Eddie's ghost remains one of the show's boldest creative choices. Unlike many shows that introduce supernatural elements purely for shock value, Suits LA uses Eddie's appearances to externalize Ted's internal moral compass and emotional state. These scenes are handled with surprising restraint and genuine emotion, elevating them beyond mere gimmickry. The developing professional rivalry between Ted and Stewart adds complexity to the narrative. By avoiding making Stewart a villain, Showing his perspective and reasonable motivations, the show creates a more interesting conflict than a simple good versus evil dynamic. This approach allows viewers to understand both sides while still generally sympathizing with Ted's position. The Thompson murder case continues to provide a compelling backbone for the season's arc. By slowly revealing new information and introducing complications, the show maintains tension and viewer investment. The question of Lester's guilt or innocence hangs over every development, adding moral ambiguity to Ted's crusade. However, the show still struggles with balancing its ensemble cast. While Ted, Kevin, Stuart, Rick, and Erica all receive significant development in this episode, other characters like Talia remain somewhat underutilized. The brief scene between Ted and Talia hints at an interesting dynamic that deserves more exploration. The episode's pacing shows improvement over earlier installments. By focusing on fewer subplots and allowing scenes to breathe, Old Wounds achieves a better balance between character development and plot advancement. This suggests the writers are finding their stride and learning what works best for this particular show. Visually, the episode effectively uses Los Angeles locations and lighting to establish mood. The contrast between Stewart's sleek, well-appointed offices and Ted's more modest, temporary space visually reinforces their different positions and approaches. This attention to visual storytelling enriches the viewing experience beyond dialogue and plot. The legal aspects of the show continue to walk the line between realism and dramatic license. While certain elements are clearly simplified for television, the core ethical and strategic dilemmas feel authentic to the legal profession. This balance allows the show to be entertaining while maintaining enough credibility to keep viewers engaged. Overall, Episode 4 represents significant progress for Suits LA, suggesting that as the season continues, the show may fully emerge from the shadow of its predecessor to establish its own compelling identity. Episode 4 sets up several intriguing storylines that will likely drive Episode 5 and beyond. Let's examine what might be coming next. The revelation about potentially mishandled evidence in the Thompson case creates an immediate crisis for Ted and Kevin to address. This development could force them to completely recalibrate their defense strategy, potentially requiring more unorthodox tactics. Given Ted's history of bending rules for what he believes is right, this could push him to make ethically questionable decisions in pursuit of justice. Kevin's increasing involvement in the case suggests we'll learn more about his history with Ted. The hints about their shared past in New York, particularly regarding the Gustini case, indicate there's much more to their relationship than initially revealed. Episode 5 will likely delve deeper into this history, potentially revealing why Kevin was reluctant to work with Ted again. Stewart's aggressive poaching of Ted's clients sets up ongoing professional conflict. This situation could escalate in several ways. Ted might retaliate, clients might become pawns in their rivalry, or we might see unexpected consequences for both firms. The moral complexity of Stewart's actions ensures this won't be a simple conflict with an easy resolution. Erica's evident discomfort with some of Stewart's tactics suggests potential future conflict within his firm. Her loyalty is being tested, and her moral compass might eventually lead her to question her decision to stay with Stewart. This internal conflict provides rich territory for character development in upcoming episodes. Rick's adjustment to Ted's new firm will likely continue to provide both challenges and opportunities for growth. His successful handling of the printer crisis in this episode hints at hidden talents and resources that could prove valuable to Ted. This mentor-mentee relationship has significant potential for development throughout the season. Talia's appearance and legal request opens the door for more interaction between her and Ted. Their unresolved personal history combined with professional respect creates tension that future episodes will almost certainly explore further. The intellectual property case she brought to Ted could become more significant than it initially appears. Eddie's ghost will continue to serve as Ted's emotional anchor and conscience. The show has established this supernatural element as integral to Ted's character rather than a gimmick, suggesting it will remain a consistent presence throughout the season. Future episodes might reveal more about Eddie's death and its connection to Ted's father and his criminal activities. The potential alibi witness with credibility issues presents an interesting dilemma for Ted and Kevin. Using a problematic witness could backfire spectacularly, but they may have no choice if they want to create reasonable doubt in Lester's case. This ethical and strategic dilemma will likely be a focus in upcoming episodes. Finally, the question of Lester's actual guilt or innocence continues to loom over the entire narrative. As the case progresses, Ted's faith in his client might be tested by new revelations. The show has carefully maintained ambiguity about Lester's character, allowing for significant potential plot developments regardless of which direction the writers choose. All these threads coming together promise an episode 5 that will further develop the unique identity of Suits, L.A., while building on the strong foundation established in these first 4 episodes. 4 episodes into its first season, Suits, L.A. is establishing itself as more than just a spin-off trading on its predecessor's name. Old Wounds demonstrates that the show has found its own voice, leveraging the Suits formula while introducing elements that distinguish it from the original series. The strength of episode 4 lies in its character development and emotional depth. By connecting Ted's past, particularly his relationship with Eddie, to his present actions, the show creates a protagonist with clear motivations and moral complexity. Stephen Amell continues to impress in the role, bringing both intensity and vulnerability to Ted Black. The supporting cast is also finding their rhythm, with each character developing distinct personalities and motivations beyond their initial introductions. The professional rivalry between Ted and Stewart provides dramatic tension without resorting to simplistic hero-villain dynamics. Similarly, the relationships between the associates, Rick, Erica, and others, create opportunities for both conflict and growth. The legal aspects of the show continue to provide a solid framework for character-driven drama. The Thompson murder case has enough complexity to sustain viewer interest while allowing for exploration of ethical dilemmas and personal stakes. By focusing on both entertainment law and criminal defense, the show differentiates itself from other legal dramas, including the original Suits. Perhaps most importantly, Old Wounds demonstrates that Suits LA is willing to take creative risks. The supernatural element with Eddie's ghost could have easily felt out of place in a legal drama, but the show integrates it in a way that feels genuine rather than gimmicky. This willingness to experiment suggests the series has potential for growth and evolution beyond its initial premise. As we look ahead to episode 5 and beyond, there's plenty to anticipate. The Thompson case will continue to develop, relationships will be tested, and we'll undoubtedly learn more about Ted's complicated past. The foundation laid in these first 4 episodes provides rich territory for ongoing character development and compelling storylines. What did you think of episode 4? Are you Team Ted or Team Stewart? Do you believe Lester is innocent or guilty? And what's your take on the supernatural element with Eddie's ghost? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share with your fellow legal drama enthusiasts. I'll be back next week with a full breakdown of episode 5, so make sure you've got those notifications turned on. Until next time, this is Amelia 2.00, making sense of the legal chaos 1 episode at a time.